Ladies and gentlemen.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the HazMat podcast, episode number 15. I'm your host, Chris from HazMat. I'm doing this one alone today, but I'm sure we'll be just fine. Today we're taking a look at asbestos around the world. And as we've mentioned on previous episodes, asbestos is still currently, right as of today, being mined and produced into products and consumed in large parts of the world. And as much as we in the Americas, Europe, Oceania, different places are on a crusade to ban and eliminate asbestos, that doesn't count for everybody. So let's take a quick look, just out of curiosity's sake, where asbestos is still going down. So first of all, I think why it's important to talk about is the World Health Organization has thrown an estimate out of about 125 million exposures, so individual exposures to asbestos per year, with that 107,000 deaths related to asbestos illnesses, specific asbestos illnesses. And I think in our introduction podcast we spoke about the fact that estimates are probably on the lower end of what is actually, in a lot of things, what's been reported versus what is actually occurring. So it could be a lot higher. But these aren't small figures. So looking at the 5 currently largest producers of asbestos worldwide, you have at number 1 Russia. And Russia comes in at a whopping 618,000. This will be an estimate too, no doubt, but 618,000 tonnes per year produced. And then followed closely by China, and then down to Brazil, Kazakhstan, and India. So they're the 5 big dogs at the moment. There was a side note in the data that says that Brazil actually banned asbestos in 2017. Whether that or not, that means they're still producing it. In spite of that, I don't know. But take that one with a grain of salt. As far as consumption goes, you're looking at China being the biggest consumer currently of asbestos, with an estimated 570,000 tonnes consumed. So remember, this isn't the mining side of it now, this is actually using the material. Followed by Russia. So Russia and China are interchangeable 1 and 2 for production and consumption. Russia the biggest producer, China the biggest consumer, and then both of them come in second place to each other. As far as consumption goes, it's very, very clear in the data that we've looked at. I think it's 1.3 million tonnes for the Asia and Middle East region. So as far as a region of the world, Asia and the Middle East seem to take it out by a large margin over everywhere else. I think that's followed by South America, which is minuscule in comparison. And then you have all the other regions, including little old New Zealand and United States and everything else, which is minuscule again compared even to South America. One of the things that I've found doing the research is we have under the United Nations an agreement on hazardous substances called the Rotterdam Convention. And at the Rotterdam Convention, it's a multilateral organisation, and the issue is banning chrysotile asbestos as a hazardous substance. At present, it's been voted down. It has to be, I believe, a 100% agreement of actually voting that to be a hazardous substance. From my understanding, the other 5 types of asbestos, what they call the amphibole family, are already noted as being hazardous, but chrysotile is still up in the air, meaning it's arguably not hazardous. And just as a note, there were 7 countries in 2015, so less than 10 years ago, that voted not to include chrysotile on the list of hazardous substances at the Rotterdam Convention. And those countries were Cuba, India, Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Pakistan, Russia, and Zimbabwe. So I take it their views, at least politically, are that chrysotile is not a hazardous substance, and that seems to be the bigger argument as to why it's still being used, among other reasons such as affordability and things like that. So anyway, if you're interested, yes, we are fighting a battle to get rid of asbestos and ban mining of it and ban use of it through large parts of the world, but we still are up against it, as there are some pretty big regions, if you think of Russia and China and India, still in the game in terms of using that material. Just a quick side note of a recent country that stopped mining asbestos. The country is Canada, and the year is 2012. So if you think anything before the year 2000 or the 90s has no asbestos, keep in mind even Canada were mining that product right up until 2012. Alright, there we go. Join us again next week for another episode of the HazMat podcast. And for now, I'm Chris, and thank you for joining us. Bye now.
Ladies and gentlemen.